Hello, my friend, and welcome to the 454th episode of the Sales Podcast. I'm Wes Schaefer, the Sales Whisperer, your host. Today we've got Lee Berkman of CloudShare. We're going to get into why you need to be in the cloud, why you need to master virtual selling, remote demos, remote proofs of concept. I've been doing this a long time, A, because I'm cheap, B, because I'm lazy. I like being home. I didn't realize I've been living a quarantined COVID life since, 2006. Been doing things remotely, doing things virtually. I've met maybe 1% of my clients in person ever, maybe 2 or 3% at trade shows. But the bulk of what I've always done has been remote. These guys have been doing this for 13 years, helping customers, businesses, take things to the cloud, okay? And we talk about why this is a much faster paced environment when you do things this way. And you know what? It's here to stay. So we talk a little bit about their software, but get into some of the specifics on how to grow and sell and demo and close deals virtually, all right? That's what we're going to get into. Another thing I do virtually is the 30-day sales growth program. Come join us, get all the content on demand, live weekly video calls, ask questions at any time, and get them answered in the group. So come join us, 30daysalesgrowth.com. Now, let's bring on our guest. Lee Berkman, surfing guru all the way from Israel. Welcome to the Sales Podcast, man. How the heck are you?
Things are good on my side. Thanks for having me, Wes.
So is it true, like your boss said you would sell a lot more if you just quit surfing and just focus on software as a service sales?
My boss gave me that exact speech, actually. He said, like, you're not allowed to go and eat at restaurants every day in the week, and you can't be surfing, and basically all the luxuries of life. Just take it easy, stick to the cloud.
These bosses, man, they just crack the whip, huh? What have you done for me lately? You know, it doesn't matter you hit quota. They want you to hit quota like every month. It's like, so demanding.
Just being a good guy, right?
Oh, my goodness. Well, man, we had your boss on a while back. I actually got to meet Zvi up in SF, golly, a year or so. I don't even know. Time. I don't know, this COVID stuff. I don't know. What year is this? I don't even know. But what's that?
No, we've just had so many changes this year. I mean, I've literally had rescheduled weddings. Things already been, this has been a backward year, to say the least.
But maybe y'all were a little ahead of the curve, or I don't know what, but you're with CloudShare, right? And according to your own marketing, it says the world's easiest to use virtual labs for software training, sales demos, and proofs of concept. So you can deliver virtual training, sales demos, POCs without compromising time to market. So, this isn't the CRM sushi podcast. We're not going to get too much into your exact software, but it's timely to talk about the underlying components, if you will, or what led to this creation, because we need virtual training now, right? We need virtual sales demos. We need virtual proofs of concept. We need faster time to market when things are so chaotic. So talk to me about that. I mean, how did this come about? And how are you seeing, like, if I had to guess, I would say y'all are probably growing in this COVID environment, but I could be wrong.
It's been really interesting times, and we've actually been in the space and the industry for going on 13 years or just over 13 years. So we're by no means a flash in the pan, and it's not a matter of just this type of current situation we're living in. Have we been able to deliver value, or companies reaching out to us looking for a virtual solution to be able to support their application, for showcasing, for development, for training? And CloudShare is quite diverse and dynamic. Like, we're not purely a sales enablement tool. We're not purely a training tool. We help customers with pretty much everything from remote collaboration with developers to recruitment processes, being able to make sure that a new employee is able to do the tasks that they say that they are able to do before actually getting them to the office even. So it's incredibly diverse and dynamic. So as you read in that sort of marketing page there, we do exactly as it says on the can. And that's actually like one of the nice things we have with some of our customer testimonials is that CloudShare does exactly what it says. And I think what's such a powerful asset about this tool, because there's a lot of stuff in the industry that allows you to virtualize things and access things remotely. I think the real challenge is, are you prepared to become an expert and learn in a complete new infrastructure to manage yourself? Or do you want to deal with a specialist that can let you get up and running in a matter of anything from hours, days, or weeks, depending on the complexity of your solution, and basically rely on a specialist? In the same way, when I am interested in buying a home, I can either start going into school and learning how to build something from scratch and how a foundation is built and get all the essentials myself, or deal with a specialist who's going to help me pick out everything from the finishing that I want, or a complete solution ready to go and I can move into. So CloudShare, we're definitely on that specialist end of things, making things as simple as possible for a consumer and company to deliver what they need to do.
So I got to imagine before COVID, you maybe had some pushback, but people now they don't have a choice, right, to do more virtually. But it's like, people have been asking me, like, oh, how are you handling this? It's like, dude, I didn't realize my life was a quarantined life. I mean, I've worked from home for 20 years, worked for myself since 2006 from home. So it's like, I don't know, I've been good to go.
Are you stating the facts or showing off?
Hey, I mean, do with it as you will. All right. It's part of it's just because I'm lazy and I don't like traveling. I like having my life, and I'm talking with a client right now, and a prospect, but they'll become a client doing some sales training, and the CEO's like, well, how does this work virtually? I'm like, dude, in 14 years, I've met like 2% of my customers ever. Yeah. I've been using whatever was available. I mean, back then it was WebEx or, one of those tools. I do most on Zoom now, but I mean, I've used Skype and call recorder and just, I mean, it works. But I got to imagine you've had some pushback over the years, but are people, like I said, that they don't have a choice now? Are they beating down your doors?
So we really have had, we've been very fortunate considering that so many other people are, I guess, in a challenging situation, because of the fact that we offer a solution to really help, I guess, bridge that gap for any type of limitation that a business has at the moment. We definitely are keeping ourselves really busy. And all of a sudden, companies that we were engaged with a while back that we don't really know and is no real urgency as such, that whole conversation's changed now. And we see it everywhere, from being able to deliver face-to-face learning, where companies that are getting in new new customers, and need to basically make sure that the usage of their solution is effective and their new customers are actually understand how to use the platform correctly or whatever they're offering, they would go to face-to-face, they would meet the customer on site, host them on their site. That's not an option. So how do you make sure that you're delivering a seamless training experience, especially in this new type of delivery for somebody who's not as seasoned as you, being remote and using all these different tools? How do you make sure that the experience for the end user is easy to do? And the same then applies for sales. And I think, where it became really popular, and one of our sort of really, I guess, special industries for us is the cybersecurity space. First of all, our CEO, Svi, as you would have discussed, comes from a crypto and security background, actually. So he has a lot of knowledge in the industry and understands a lot of the challenges that companies have to be able to show their value. Because at the end of the day, what are you doing as a salesperson? You're providing something to an end user that is going to gain value, and they will exchange money for that value, whether that be a service, whether that be a product. So what a cybersecurity business needs to do is basically showcase how much security, how they're able to effectively protect this potential customer. Traditionally, how that's done is you go on site, you have to do quite a comprehensive POC, a proof of concept, basically showcasing a real world scenario. And that would often involve everything from hardware to IT permissions on the prospect side, physical travel, obviously, and potentially leaving a fair amount of expensive hardware on a customer site. And then once you've actually committed the time to getting that configured and set up, how long is that going to be left for? How are you going to get that equipment back? There's so many type of open-ended questions and challenges to manage an effective proof of concept. And if you do things virtually, beyond all the red tape that sometimes is limited to even getting close to your customer's production environment, you're providing a complete safe sandbox of a virtualized scenario, showcasing what a real-world instance looks like with that cybersecurity solution, whether it be a firewall or anything else. And your customer has access to it within minutes. They can access from anywhere. They can distribute it to team members easily. And no harm, no foul. Anything that they've done incorrectly, misconfigured, or potentially deployed malicious malware, something that no one wants to see on a network, they can just hit the reset button and start from square one again. So
what kind of pushback, though? Salespeople, I don't like selling face to face. Is it just nostalgic? Is it necessary? Can we be as effective selling virtually as in face to face? And to a large degree, that may be a moot point because we just can't sell face to face right now. But why have people not embraced this virtual model? And what mistakes have they made, or what needs to be done differently to effectively sell virtually today?
So, such a great question, and I actually come from that traditional selling background. I originally,
I do too. I think we all, if we're of a certain age, I guess. You sold in person, right? I sold retail. Belly button. I sold insurance at the kitchen table, and then B2B. I was selling to Google, I'm selling to Apple. It was, Verizon, Sprint, on and on. Face to face. But for a long time now, I've been virtual. So, I'm not even wearing pants right now. I won't move the camera down. So
again, these type of calls for us. I don't want to say it. I don't know why you put me in the spot now, because I haven't worn pants.
You're not wearing pants either. I know. And that,
we just don't do it anymore.
Dude, I'm shorting all my stocks in pants companies. But anyway, I digress.
So as you were saying, there is this traditional sentimental value of regards to that face-to-face and personal connection. And this industry, in full transparency, I've only been introduced to in the last 5-6 years of my career. And it was a shock to me, sitting in an office full time, working remotely, outreaching to people through social media channels like LinkedIn, through marketing campaigns, and then trying to, evaluate whether your solution is valuable for them. And I think one of the biggest things that I learned is I remember when BlackBerry became a thing and we were getting emails on our phone. That was already such a new type of communication anywhere on the road and such. And I think that's thinking back to that's old school. Literally now, everyone has instant messaging. Everyone has internet access. The buyers that we deal with in the space that we are, and I'm assuming that you deal with, are so much smarter. And not that I think buyers in the old days weren't smart or intelligent in what they specialized in. I think they just didn't have all the tools at their disposal that is available today. All companies are incredibly good and strong at marketing. And everyone's going to have an incredible pitch on their front-facing website. And you're going to try have a couple good reviews and testimonials. But how do you, at the end of the day, really showcase your solution apart? And proof is in the pudding. Money buys the whiskey. I'm a big believer in these expressions. How do you really then show that to somebody who has very little time and is not just evaluating one sales rep coming to his shop, 2 sales reps that comes to his store? He's evaluating dozens of solutions that are available to him at the other side of that computer screen. So you need to make sure, and what we're providing to companies is to make sure that when they are getting that virtual face-to-face time now, that email communication, that virtual phone call, a conference call with a webcam, and just as well, like a side point, during the COVID time, I've had my webcam on 90% of the meetings that I'm having versus traditionally having conference calls, webcams off. And I don't know why, because I'm home now, not seeing people face to face, that the webcam feels more natural to actually do. Again, just weird in the last couple of months. But the point is, when you are engaging with a potential buyer, you can't just sell on a word or a good presentation. They need to actually make sure that what they're going to invest in, and potentially long term, is what is going to meet their needs. So when you're delivering that proof of concept, when you're delivering that trial, that experience to the potential buyer, what are they actually testing? Is it going to be just a PowerPoint presentation they're going through? Or are they actually going to be hands-on with whatever solution you have? And that hands-on builds confidence. It basically already secures your, I guess, your expertise. Because as you well know now as well, Wes, you're not just going to have a better priced Apple than the guy next to you. You're selling your expertise as well. You need to be a specialist in what you do. And buyers expect that. No one's looking to invest, I think, in a new person off the street and potentially risk what they're trying to deliver. Cybersecurity business, selling their solution. No security, head of security, a CIO or anything like that is going to commit to something he hasn't tested and seen in action.
So how is selling virtually different from selling in person?
It's a lot faster paced, and it's a slight different experience to kind of build that level of trust. I think that face-to-face trust as humans, we sort of have a feel for someone, and that first impression, as we've been taught before, is so important. So there is that level of nostalgia and sort of like just, I guess, human emotion that remote you don't always have. So things need to be a lot shorter. I mean, even if you just look at the idea of, and I'm sure you remember, Wes, when you were going face-to-face and seeing people, you didn't have a set time schedule for you had 20 minutes or 40 minutes. You kind of put your watch away and you were there charming your way into your customer's potential business. Where virtually, people are sitting in their office, they have their structured schedule, and they're giving you 30 minutes. You need to maximize that completely. And when you want to start discussing potentially testing, trying, and actually giving your solution to somebody to play with and touch before they buy it, it needs to be as seamless and simple as possible. There's no more like, here's a product and a freebie, or I'll take you for coffee. We're bypassing that entirely, and we need to make sure that the experience that we are delivering remotely is a professional and effective one. So I think the main difference is, or not main, but one of the key ones is the fact that you just need to be so much more efficient. There's no real time to waste anymore.
I mean, I agree with all of it other than face-to-face, we still had schedules, right? I mean, if you were seeing me, we knew it was a 1 hour meeting or whatever.
Sure.
But yeah, it could spill over, but virtual can spill over as well. But yeah, I agree. I know as a consumer, I am super tight with my schedule. Somebody wants to time with me, the default setting is 15 minutes. And then I have a 25-minute meeting, then I have a 50-minute meeting, not 30 minutes, not 1 hour, but I've always been just a stickler on time and efficiency and show up with an agenda, have this thing planned out, but yeah, I hear what you're saying. It's got to be tight. You don't have, with cameras, you have some body language, but it's not the same as being in person. So are buyers, are they colder? Can we still warm up to them? Should we mail them some chocolates before we meet or right after or both? I mean, how do we endear ourselves with them?
It's such a great question. And I think it's such a hit and miss sometimes. Like, I think the reason why I gravitated towards sales is because I just love dealing with people so much. I'm a natural talker. I enjoy engaging with people. I enjoy learning about what people do, discussing anything from hobbies. I remember when I, started building good relations with customers, it's 5 minutes of business, and then we can just talk about the important stuff. What's going on with your kids type of thing. And virtual, again, because you don't have that type of, I guess, personal engagement, it is a bit more brief, and it is a little bit more cold. Sounds negative, so I don't want to jump to that. but you definitely need to be really on it. You need to be on the ball. You need to make sure that you're precise. And, look at, for example, a sales event or a conference. People are committing a few days to actually wine and dine. They're looking to sort of be there in order to charm people, and vice versa. Like, as a potential buyer, you want to make sure you're getting the most out of that retailer, that supplier. So we're not doing that today, right? We're all of a sudden seeing so many companies that had these scheduled conferences and so on doing things virtually. And they're doing it in a number of different ways. They're doing it in presentation formats. They're doing it in scheduled meetings for a number of suppliers and a number of potential buyers, and then sort of coordinating these meet times. Exactly like you mentioned, 15-minute or 30-minute slots, 25-minute slots, 50-minute slots. And we're doing this remotely. And having the conversation is one thing, that's the human aspect. But again, how do you really show the value of your solution? How do you make sure that that time spent isn't just friendly conversation? And I think you need to make sure that you have the infrastructure and the platform to really showcase what you have to offer, and show the value truthfully.
Oh man, we got to end this. I'm all about lying and pulling the wool over their eyes, man. Come on. I got to scream.
Wait a second.
That's better.
Does that torch that you're selling have a lifespan of 14 days on maximum brightness? Of course it does.
Piece of cake. Deal. So do you think our conference is dead, man? I mean, I know personally, and I love, the whole dead thing, right? Email's dead. Text messaging's dead. Cold calling is dead. I mean, everything's dead, right? Because they're selling something else. But, I mean, I was already going to a lot fewer conferences before this even hit. A lot of them seemed a little redundant, and I don't know. It was good. I went really to visit, being in this space for so long. I like the connections, having a whiskey with somebody, right, versus sitting in all the sessions, taking all the notes, because rarely do you go read the notes you take anyway. But now I'm seeing there's webinars out the kazoo and virtual conferences, and everybody just getting worn out. I mean, what's the world coming to, man? Is it just going to be one-on-one 15-minute virtual sales demos and hope you get the order?
Well, we already had that international quote so many years ago that everyone will have their 5 minutes of fame virtually. So I guess it's kind of a slightly different twist on that. But by no means are we seeing a slowdown in conferences. And we're seeing more companies that say they weren't even able to technically invest in delivering or hosting a conference, now actually having the ability to do it virtually. So smaller organizations that, don't have a customer base or market exposure to hundreds and thousands of potential buyers, now can actually sort of streamline and focus something and host it virtually. Having a Zoom account and delivering a webinar, for example, even as a first form of a conference. You can then start really, layering on that and have break-off rooms and have dedicated specialists doing different conversations and really almost having virtual booths, if you will. So that traditional walk to a conference booth, speak to a provider or a specialist, you can do all of this virtually now. And again, it's actually providing, because first of all, because we don't have the choice of going to a physical conference, those potential buyers that would be attending a conference are more interested and perhaps more open to a virtual conference. And that's a great time for companies that, again, weren't able to do that before to take advantage. And I met up with a friend of mine yesterday who told me that she's doing her first virtual conference this week on Friday. She was told about it less than a week ago. So normally where you're preparing months in advance for conferences, there's so much dynamic flexibility.
Is she attending it or presenting at it?
Presenting.
Oh, okay.
So normally, as someone presenting, going to a conference, you would potentially be going to Japan, which I know she goes to relatively often. And she would know this months in advance, and she would have tickets booked, and she would have hotels booked. And just even speaking about those two assets, like the small parts of being part of a conference, is a huge expense for a company. It's a huge expense for her. She's now going to have 3-4 days off of doing her normal work. But a virtual conference, she needed less than a week's notice. She's going to commit a few hours of preparation time, make sure that she has all of her presentation materials and sort of script ready. But In essence, a virtual conference is going to cost her a few hours. She's back to her normal day job.
Right. Well, but again, the proof is in the pudding. How
100% right.
effective is it? You know, if it doesn't move the needle, gain more leads or sales, that's still a negative ROI.
100% right. So when we start talking about, again, virtual labs and going back to, I guess, where we stand in the industry and the experience we have and the feedback we get and how we deliver value and why our customers have these long tenders with us. A proof of concept, I'm going to stick to that sales process of, hi, I'm Lee, I sell this. I would love you to try it out. Let me know you like it and you can buy some. Great. And face-to-face, that's normally the case. I'll leave you a sample, get to play with it, test it. I'll come back next week, get the order. You'll keep it in stock. Great. A virtual solution, however, isn't the same. And it's often a challenge to actually get that solution to you safely for me as the provider, because I don't want to just give you a working version of my solution that you could potentially distribute. I have no visibility into what you're doing. We call it the black box of POCs. So with CloudShare, when you're actually managing, customizing this proof of concept environment in its entirety, you're making sure that that user testing your solution has the version you want to see. It's being customized in such a way that it is primed to be hands-on and it's in a working condition, that you are confident there's no type of misconfiguration or settings on your customer's end. You're also able to add additional assets and so on to make sure that they have all the appropriate guides. So when they are doing it on their own, they're not, totally lost. You're giving them guidelines as well in this virtual environment. And then part of that, seeing the ROI, making sure that your POC that you're delivering, which is still a cost and a time-consuming process for any provider, what is your potential buyer doing with that proof of concept? Even with virtual labs today, it's an unknown. It's a shot in the dark. You really don't know, have they even accessed it? Have they engaged with the tool or not? Like, are they actually testing or evaluating it? CloudShare, for example, will provide you analytics to show that over the 5-day proof of concept, the trial period, they've actually been accessing it on a daily basis. That's fantastic. They're an actual engaged prospect that's testing out your solution. They're putting the time in. Then you can even dial in to see exactly where they're spending the time. Are they spending the majority of their time in the guides, or are they spending it in the actual solution itself? So you're delivering a server manager, a network tracker, for example, on a Windows machine. Are they actually going in and engaging with that solution, or are they just sitting on the actual tutorial videos? You definitely want them to be hands-on with the solution. And again, without like true analytics to show where a prospect is, how do you know how effective your POC is? At the end of it, in a week, 2 weeks, 5 days, whatever it is, and your prospect says, it wasn't for us. How do you know?
Yeah, well, hopefully they were doing that before, but I know they weren't. So I love this space. I like what y'all are doing. It's smart people, effective salespeople are going to become more effective, I think, in this time frame, because you got to know your stuff.
Yeah.
To do this virtually, right? Because whereas maybe I could schmooze a little bit in person and overcome some gaps, either in my own knowledge or the company and the solution. It's a little colder, a little more analytic, would you say, selling virtually?
Absolutely. And don't misunderstand for one second. I'm all about the charm and the schmoozing, and I believe that's the only reason I even got this job. It's that face-to-face type of convincing someone that I'm a good guy and I can do the job. But when it comes to actually selling a solution that a company is going to invest in, and whether that solution's a $5,000 offer or potentially $1 million offer, they need to actually buy that with confidence. They're not going in with 1 foot in the water. They're diving in completely. They're committing to you with a long-term relationship potentially. And I guess it depends on the solutions you're selling, depending on the company. But in the space, like we specialize with IT solutions, and companies are not just buying something, they're implementing it. They're adopting it with multiple users. it needs to be comprehensive. And when you have something that's able to, first of all, help with the sales cycle and then help support that customer onboarding, because you're then able to give virtual training and make sure that that's a seamless experience. So you're just capitalizing on so much that you've already invested in. It's giving you more than one tool. It's buying a Swiss Army knife versus just a bottle opener and hoping that'll do fine at camping, which is definitely an essential.
Yeah, because this works really in almost any industry, right? It's not like you got to be a tech person or selling hardware or software, because even if they may not need your software on the demo side, the classes, the training, that type of virtual support still is something that they could leverage your tool to grow.
Yeah, and like we speak training, and I know this is focused on sales, training is a sales tool a lot of the time. There's analytics. We've seen that customers that deliver an effective university training and academy have, first of all, better adoption, additional buy-in from other departments at a company because you've delivered that training to other members in an organization. So you want to make sure you're capitalizing on all the sales potential, like all the sales tools that you're at your disposal. And again, virtualizing that and making sure that you can deliver all of that in one easy to use solution. It should be easier than jumping onto a conference call, onto a Zoom call. Yeah. It should be a click of a button.
So on this type of like self-paced training and things like that, are you competing with like the Kajabis of the world, or are you selling to maybe a little bit larger company in the SMB space, or like if somebody's using a Kajabi, should they be looking at you?
I like to think that we'll be sort of communicating with anybody who needs to deliver training. And if that training needs to be hands-on, like not just theoretical learning, absolutely we want to be engaged with these people. Like, because at the end of the day, how are you going to make sure that experience is good for the end user? Like, how is it going to be the most engaging experience? And I guess just with years of experience, and we manage our own infrastructure as well. So, we're the masters of our own destiny, in a way. We really, I think, are capitalizing on making sure that the performance of what our customers need to get out to their end users is exceptional. You can't really compete or be compared to something else that doesn't do that entire delivery. So I think anyone that's delivering it, again, it's more than just theoretical side of things, because at the end of the day, we are providing virtual machines. Like we virtualize where traditionally you could have a physical workstation in a classroom or a laptop for a learner. We're providing that through an internet browser.
Right. Yeah, it integrates with the CRMs. You can overlay an LMS with it, right? And
so you were talking about salespeople being clever and being smart. So a salesperson, and especially in the enterprise space, but I think even in smaller organizations now as well, are leveraging CRMs. And they're going to spend most or a lot of their time, at least through sales, in a CRM and making sure that they have all their customer information and prospect information and sort of progress and so on. Integrating different tools and assets into like your primary platform is essential to make sure your salespeople are effective. And to be able to, for example, give out a demo of your environment to a prospect through your Salesforce is an incredibly powerful tool. So you don't even necessarily need to have your non-technical salespeople potentially learning how to manage a virtual environment or how to deploy a POC. They can do that all from the platform they're already familiar in. Mm-hmm. And that is something we literally have a custom-built Salesforce integration. So, we're making it easier. We're making it native, if you will.
Well, and that's where the sales enablement comes in, huh? It's got to be easy. It's got to be, in all the work that I do with Infusionsoft and HubSpot customers, it's, we'll spend hours trying to remove, 2 clicks or, keep them from logging into 2 platforms to update a record. It's like, it's got to be as seamless as possible. But, it takes a lot of brain power to make something seamless. When you see a 2 or 3-year-old swiping on an iPad, we take for granted how much brain power and R&D went into that development.
And that's such a great example. I mean, that's $1 trillion company for a reason.
Yeah.
But exactly that. Things need to be intuitive. Things need to be seamless for who are you delivering to? Are you delivering to a student? Are they doing a self-paced course? If they are, they're going to be spending time in your LMS. They're going to be going through different modules. And at no point should they be redirected or given clean instructions to go ahead and now you want to do a hands-on task, go through this new process. We were so ecstatic to learn, and again, on the training side of the house, we were ecstatic to learn that a customer that uses CloudShare for both sales processes and training actually got nominated by their LMS for the seamless experience of being able to go through modular learning. Got nominated for an award. Sorry, I didn't really finish that point. Got nominated for an award that they do annually for all of their customers, because for a student, for the end user, they were going through a self-paced learning course. And at a certain module, they need to actually complete a hands-on test of the solution. In the one UI, they simply click launch a lab, and within minutes, they're now using the actual solution that they've just been doing all the theoretical learning on. And that type of seamless experience for the end user, and then also simplifying it for the admin, the owner of CloudShare, the owner of the infrastructure that you've now built and the platform that you've developed and sort of integrated into your business delivery for sales, for training, for development, for recruitment. You don't have to manually maintain and manage all of that. It can be automated. You're doing things smarter. You're doing things at scale.
Yep. Very nice. Well, I know you've got a call coming up, and I've got a call coming up. We've all got calls coming up.
Busy times.
So what should our listeners do? I'm linking to your site. It's cloudshare.com. Should we just send them to the homepage and have them start looking around? I see you've got some cool case studies, ebooks, webinars, white papers. You got all these fun things.
We've got a lot of assets, I think, to guide you effectively to, I think, what is important to you as a potential buyer. So if someone is interested in virtual labs, first of all, I think CloudShare is an absolute essential, especially if you're not an expert in it. Dealing with an expert who we can help guide, we can help basically assess what are your pain points and what are your goals. We'll make sure that you're actually developing things that are going in the right direction from the get-go versus just opening up a lab of your own in-house and starting to build something from scratch. That's a massive challenge, a massive task on its own. So the website will give all the assets focused based on training delivery, development, and sales delivery. And under sales, you'll have a look at different POC delivery, and we have a wonderful customer testimonial. I believe it's on the website as well under sales, where we discuss how Checkpoint leverages CloudShare to empower their sales people globally to have a demo available on the fly. So beyond just POCs, they have demo-ready environments in a matter of like minutes. There's no type of prep a day before, half a day before, taking other time for tasks they need to do during the day. It's right at the end of their fingertips. So the website's a great way to start. If you have questions that I will also be able to address, you can try sales@cloudshare.com. Send us an email. And we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to just give general advice and learn more about what people are actually trying to achieve. Are you scheduling and planning a conference? We've got years of experience. We've supported a lot of industry leaders on their user conferences where we've had everything from a few dozen members and attendees to thousands of delegates over a few days. So big and small, we're always happy to sort of learn more as well. What are people doing? How are they doing it? And quite frankly, I'm even very interested to hear, Wes, from your side as well, what your customers, what your listeners, what their challenges are. Because that's where we can start addressing solutions.
Yep. Well, I'm disappointed on your website, man. David's there in the little chat window instead of you. I was really hoping to see your smiling mug on that.
I can be on one call at a time, Wes.
You got to make that change, man. Make it happen. All right.
You blocked my calendar for this, eh?
All right. All right. Fine.
I'm glad David's covering me on the live chat there.
I'm going to talk with David then. All right. Cool,
You
man.
give that guy.
Well, I will.
Lovely.
I will tell Zvi you delivered on the goods, so it's. I'm gonna recommend a raise for you. So.
And please ask him if I can get some beach time. Like, he won't give me a hard time the next time I go surfing.
Just don't let him know, dude. You're like hours, 12 hours apart? Come on. If you can't get some surf in when you're 12 time zones away,
You really are a guru.
Take your sales card from you.
You're a serious guru. I think I got a lot to learn from you. Just don't tell the boss. Makes sense.
Just make it happen, man. All right. Lee
Thanks so much for your time, Wes.
Berkman, Cloud Share from Israel. Thanks for coming on the show, man. It's been great.
All the best, man. Thanks a lot.
Look, if you have complex sales, complex demonstrations, involved, lengthy proofs of concept, you need to have a plan and you need to have the right technology to enable you to do that. Maybe it's Cloud Share, maybe it's whatever, but you can't wing it. Okay? Like I said, I've been selling remotely since at least 2006. I've been selling Infusionsoft since 2008, HubSpot since 2014, doing it all remotely. So you need to understand how to shorten the sales cycles, anticipate the questions your prospects are going to give you, anticipate the objections you're going to get from them, and ideally take them away, address them before you even jump into the demo. Okay? You don't need to answer every single question about every single component of your offering. You need to find out what are the hot buttons of your prospects and address those. That's why I've been able to sell very complex, very expensive software quickly on one call, while many of my competitors take days and weeks and even months to make the same sale, usually at a lower price, because I've got a system, I've got a process. If you want to learn that, you can hire me for private consulting. I have 90-day programs for that. Hit me up. Let's see if that's right. I've got the month-to-month program in the 30-day sales growth community, 30daysalesgrowth.com. Come join, get all the content, the workbook, the videos, but the live calls, and you can ask questions at any time. I guarantee you're going to make more money. You will sell more faster at higher margin with less stress. So give it a try. All right? 30daysalesgrowth.com. Thanks for listening. I'll go sell something.